Happy Friday and welcome to your only conservative alternative at 4 p.m. Eastern, the Chirs Salcedo Show on Newsmax. Here are the headlines trending across America. We continue to follow the money trail and expose the Biden family corruption. A new report exposing Joe Biden's role in an overseas bribe with Ukrainian company Burisma will show you the damning email and the video that the GOP leadership and the press seems to be ignoring. Meantime, Biden sparks World War III fears. The occupier of the Oval Office quietly mobilizing 3,000 U.S. reserve forces for active duty in Europe. What does this mean for our national security? Our military panel joins us to break it all down. This as the Secret Service claims to be clueless about who brought a deadly and illegal white powdery substance into the White House. But the American people are demanding answers. Editor-in-Chief of TrishIntel.com, Trish Regan, and former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes, they'll be along to discuss this with me. But first, it's hard to fight the 7 deadly sins, sloth in particular. It's hard to fight collectivists. It's hard to fight the entitlement mentality. But we must, because as the Socialist Democrats and the establishment GOP have proven, when left unchecked, those base impulses of man don't just harm their devotees and their sellouts. The destruction that is unleashed will consume us all. We're right, and it's time we act like it. That's our focus in today's preamble. Yesterday, the U.S. Secret Service added itself to the list of politically compromised, unfair agencies that now we shouldn't be forced to fund. They laughingly claimed that they couldn't identify the person who brought cocaine into Joe Biden's Democrat White House. Now, that was bad enough. But then the Secret Service told the GOP, because Democrats weren't even bothered by coke at the White House, the GOP was told that another illegal substance, marijuana, was found at the White House last year twice, a fact that the Secret Service chose to hide from our people. And big questions arise out of all of this. Folks, I am confident that the Secret Service is lying. I don't believe that they are this incompetent. I do believe they are this partisan. But since they decided to fall on the sword for arguably the most degenerate, ruthless, immoral, and backstabbing people on planet Earth, the Democrats, far be it from me to take their ridiculous narrative and not run with it. Let's leave the national security threat posed by the admitted incompetence of the Secret Service off the table for now. But let's ask the question, why would they divulge the pot? Now, I can think of 2 plausible explanations. Maybe you can think of more. Number 1, is permanent Washington sending a message to Joe Biden and his puppet masters? It's time to go. Is the Secret Service, through their handlers, letting Joe Biden and his regime know that they have enough dirt on Joe Biden to have him tried for treason and that it's time for him to leave the Oval Office? Secondly, could the Secret Service be trying to establish that the White House is really the crack house, that illicit drugs flow through that joint when Democrats are in charge like water? The idea is to make gullible folks think, hey, there's nothing to see here. Plausible, I guess. Well, for most decent Americans, the idea of coke and pot at the White House is a disgrace, but not for guys like Mitch McConnell. He has not condemned his good friends, the Democrats. He's too busy embracing the left's absurd premises in order to attack conservatives in his own caucus.
Do you have any concern that you have a member of your conference, Senator Tuberville, who seems to have a hard time denouncing white nationalism, especially as it pertains to white nationalism in the military?
Yeah, white supremacy is simply unacceptable in the military and in our whole country.
Okay, there's good old Mitch joining with CNN, adding weight to the absurd charge that if we don't accept the left's bastardization and politically driven changes to our language, then you're a racist. On the other hand, maybe Mitch doesn't want to appear any more a hypocrite than we already know him to be. Could a man who embraced the title Cocaine Mitch credibly accuse the Biden regime and his good friend Joe Biden of wrongdoing when he himself didn't run away from being associated with the illegal and deadly substance? Speaking of illegal cocaine and other drugs that are pouring into the United States, courtesy of Joe Biden's open Democrat borders, I, your liberty-loving Latino, grounded in the Constitution, the rule of law, and basic human decency, have been decrying the multiple crises ushered in by the Marxists in the Biden regime. Estimates show that well over 6 million illegal aliens have been given access to our country. Under Joe Biden's Democrat policies, over 1.5 million are known gotaways. They could be terrorists, they could be foreign military or sex slave traffickers. Illegal alien deaths at the border and the interior have skyrocketed because of these policies. The sex slave trade is booming under Democrats, as whistleblowers have testified that our own government is delivering illegal alien children into known criminal slavery. The onslaught has destroyed majority Latino towns in my home state of Texas. Folks in the GOP who oppose enforcing laws against illegal immigration, like, the Wall Street Journal editorial board, George Will and others, they have shamelessly sat back and grinned at all the carnage. The establishment GOP has done nothing to protect our people or the rule of law. Now, some are trying to hide their inaction with meaningless rhetoric.
Well, I keep asking myself, what's it going to take? 7 million border encounters, including 1.5 million gotaways, people who obviously are trying to evade law enforcement, either because of their criminal records or they're smuggling drugs. 108,000 Americans died from drug overdoses last year, including 71,000 from fentanyl alone. We know where it comes from, and it comes from Mexico with precursors imported from China.
Okay, well, there's senior senator from Texas, Mitch McConnell's right-hand guy, John Cornyn. Folks, you got to know he's on a bit of a rehabilitation tour. You see, after he sold out the Second Amendment rights of his fellow Texans in collaboration with the Socialists and the Democrat Party, Mr. Cornyn there voted on the border too. Now, you might be shocked to learn that the rhetoric you just heard didn't match his vote. In fact, John Cornyn never wants to bring up his yes vote on this, the disgusting and disgraceful $1.85 trillion non-budget omnibus, an insult to our people. Have a read. None of the funds shall be used to hire permanent federal employees or to acquire, maintain, or extend border security technology and capabilities, except for technology and capabilities to improve Border Patrol processing. In other words, we have been prohibited from spending money to stop illegal immigration. We can only spend money to facilitate it, and John Cornyn voted for it. John Cornyn asks, what's it going to take for Democrats to abandon their anti-American, anti-constitutional, and anti-rule of law carnage at our southern border? Well, perhaps they wouldn't be able to inflict that pain on our country, John, if you so-called Republicans weren't voting to fund their illegality all the time. John Cornyn betrayed every man, woman, and child in the state of Texas with his omnibus vote, in particular the Latino communities that are being laid to waste right now by Joe Biden and his Democrats. By the way, our only real Texas Senator, Ted Cruz, voted no on that lazy and irresponsible omnibus spending nightmare. Now, there are a few politicians still around us who are opposed to the John Cornyn style of betraying their voters. One recent example happens to be a Democrat, or was a Democrat. Misha Maynor of the Georgia State House, in stark contrast to John Cornyn, put her duty to her voters over her loyalty to her backward political party leadership. In a recent interview, Maynor explained, when I decided to stand up on behalf of disadvantaged children in support of school choice, my Democrat colleagues didn't stand by me. They crucified me. When I decided to stand up in support of safe communities and refused to support efforts to defund the police, they didn't back me. They abandoned me, end quote. Now, she may have been a Democrat, but she had the heart of a conservative, putting loyalty to our people and our Constitution and the rule of law first. That's more than I can say about 24 so-called Republicans in the state of Texas. In the last legislative session, these Republicans joined the socialists in stabbing children, parents, and teachers in the back by trying to kill school choice and education freedom. On your screen right now are the names of the Republicans who sided with CRT, the names of the Republicans who sided with the LGBTQ, ABCDFG cultural Marxist agenda, all still being taught in Texas GovEd schools. These are the non-representing representatives who each earned, in my opinion, a primary opponent in the next election, as they betrayed the majority of their voters in favor of a corrupt GovEd lobby. As poll after poll shows, even roughly 53% of Texas Democrat voters support education freedom. Now, we have come to expect that Democrat politicians will always betray their voters. It's something that we conservatives must never allow to have happen inside the Republican Party. The Republicans who sit on their hands and enable Democrats are every bit the enemy to conservatives in the American way of life that socialists are. Being right so often, it can be a curse. But it is more of a blessing, I have to be honest. It gives us focus. Once we reaffirm that those who push for and fight for a limited constitutional government are almost always right, then the rest becomes easy and elementary. We will win because we have to, if we want to preserve this last best hope of mankind on planet Earth.